O'Reilly Factor, the #1 cable news show for 13 years running.
Thanks for staying with us, Greg Gutfeld. That's me, in for Bill O'Reilly, who's not here. And in our brand new You Gotta Be Kidding segment tonight, 3 hot topics, beginning with that moronic Rolling Stone magazine cover featuring the Boston terrorist. Apparently, that issue sold twice as many copies as it normally does, which I believe is 4. Joining us from L.A., Leslie Marshall, and with me in New York City, it's Mike Gallagher, both our Fox News contributors. So, Leslie, I guess we now know that sultry poses of homicidal maniacs appeal to the Rolling Stone demographic.
I guess so. I'm really upset about this. I mean, I'm originally from Boston, and everybody was talking about how they're not going to read this, and if they wanted to read the article inside, they don't have to buy Rolling Stone magazine. Hello, Google, Twitter, etc. But I just, I think that this article and this magazine could have sold perhaps as many copies if they hadn't used the same photograph. It's just so offensive to all the victims and the victims' families. In
a way, it just fits into the idea of the cool rock star. It's almost indistinguishable from, like, a Mick Jagger picture. Could it be, Mike, that the only people who bought this magazine were editors and reporters reporting on the magazine? Because it's 60,000 people. That's essentially every editor and writer on both coasts.
It's not a lot, but it's good news for Rolling Stone. And this is the problem. This is the pitfall of when we get outraged at something that deserves to be outraged, all we do is fuel the fire and sell product for these people. I mean, I wish we'd, and I need to learn this more than anybody, to walk away, to ignore a story, to not give them they're like the little spoiled brat on the playground who cries for attention, and we give them attention, and they get what they want. It's shameful. I talked to a lot of Boston residents on my radio show who were so hurt by that cover. I don't know how these people at Rolling Stone sleep at night, but then again, I guess a good couple of tokes on the doobie probably puts them, into a nice deep sleep.
I don't know what you're referring to.
I'm sure you don't.
No, not at all. The fact is, they sold twice as many copies, which means that they normally sell 8,000. Which is actually really pathetic. A blog on earwax gets more views than that. So it's actually, Rolling Stone is on its way out. All right, well, next story. Elliot Bronston is a spokesman for the Seattle Office for Civil Rights. And he doesn't want his colleagues in city government to use offensive words like citizens or brown bag. Leslie, will you join me in expressing relief that we've finally gotten rid of these offensive words?
Actually, I think doobie is next on the list, and of course, I would like a definition of what that means later, guys.
That's with an IE too, not Y.
I didn't know anybody brings brown bags. They sell nice blue ones at Target. But listen, if people are offended by words like this, we need to be sensitive to people that are offensive, and I'm being serious about that. I know that you think as a liberal I'm too PC, but we do. Perhaps y'all have just been too white and too male for too long, and we have to be very sensitive.
There ought to be 2 brown. Let me tell you something, Greg.
That was funny.
There ought to be 2 brown bags, one for Elliot and one for Leslie, to put over their heads in expressing such a moronic position. I mean, brown bag. This is like the crazy liberal who was a member of my family, who I'm no longer associated with, who once told me she was offended at the term manhole cover. It's misogynistic and sexist. It should be personhole cover. I mean, what's fascinating, Leslie, is that you don't even realize how crazy it is as well. People are offended by brown bag. Well, we better accommodate. Or citizens. Boy, that's a real clincher right there. That really gets right to the jugular. Citizens. I mean, let's do people. Guy's nuts.
Well, you got to figure where it's coming from. Seattle. I mean, they have the Space Needle. What is that for? Space is there's no tear in space that you have to sew. So what is the Space Needle there for? I have no clue. All right.
And no shortage of doobies there either.
You and your doobies. All right. Next topic I want to talk about is the federal government. It wants to create a behavioral insights team that will look for ways to subtly influence people's behavior. It's a way to nudge people to save more money for retirement, among other things. Mike, knowing the government, won't they nudge us inevitably towards behaviors that guarantee more government?
Yeah, we've been being nudged in the back to a point where we're all black and blue back there. I mean, this is just what we need. Everything that's wrong with the role of government in our lives is represented in this goofy story. I got an idea. Why doesn't the White House do less nudging? Let Americans behave the way we want to behave, and we don't need Barack Obama or Joe Biden nudging us in any way, shape, or form.
But I'll take nudging over fudging.
True.
Leslie,
True.
I guess nudging in a way is much better than being forced to do something.
Yes, but I just want to say, Mike, you just said black and blue. Be careful, would you? Because that borders brown paper bag.
Offended somebody.
But when you talk about, I think you would love this. This is the government saying, look, we're going to teach you some personal responsibility. When I was very young, just a week old, after Jimmy Carter was president, I remember that energy crisis. My parents always told me, shut off the light, shut off the water when you're brushing your teeth, and to learn to conserve energy, water, etc. And I think it's good for us to be conditioned to better behavior, and I think it's a good idea and a good program. Yeah, but it can actually benefit us.
You know what? But the funny thing is, you will be nudged to combat things like global warming, but there will be no nudging to start your own business or perhaps not to have children when you aren't married, because they will never make value judgments. They will only make certain earnest left-wing judgments like global warming.
But libs love this role of the government. I mean, it's like, Leslie, you're just wanting to be nudged by the government to show you what to do.
All right, I got to nudge you guys off the air.
Guys, I don't. Okay, we're off air.
No, you're still there, but I'm going to get you guys out now.